We hope you enjoy this episode of the Modern Arizona podcast. But first, an important message for our listeners.
Hello and welcome to the Modern Arizona podcast. You may have noticed we recently changed our name from the Modern Divorce Podcast to the Modern Arizona Podcast. Recently, our topics have gotten broader than simply divorce and family law related into topics that all Arizona families, professionals, and individuals might care about. So in keeping with our expanded scope and what you, our listeners, want to listen to, we are now the Modern Arizona Podcast. Hello, this is Billie Tarascio, owner of Modern Law. We are a family law firm in Phoenix, Arizona with offices throughout the state. We've got attorneys who can help you with every aspect of your family law case. We have a legal clinic run by students for those of you who need budget-friendly resources. And we've got lawyers who've been practicing for more than 20 years. Collectively, Modern Law has more than 200 years of attorney experience. So when you hire Modern Law, you're not just getting an attorney, you are getting a team. If you live in Arizona and you need representation, call us at Modern Law today. That's 480-649-2905, 480-649-2905, or visit us at mymodernlaw.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Modern Arizona podcast. I'm your host, Attorney Billie Tarascio, and today I am joined by three moms, LeeAnn, Jenny, and Stephanie. All three moms had their girls targeted by the Morrison Ranch arsonists who have now burned down Jenny's barn. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
So first question, did you all know each other before this?
No, we did not know Jenny.
No, yeah, I knew
yeah,
Stephanie. I just didn't know Jenny. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And how long have you all lived in Morrison Ranch?
Going on 6 years now for me.
Yeah, 2019 for us, so 5 years.
And I don't actually live in Morrison Ranch. We live in a county island about probably 1 mile north of here.
Got it. Okay. All right. So the story started kind of at the end where on July 3rd, your barn, Jenny, was lit on fire and a group of boys shot fireworks in, and it got a lot of news and a lot of attention. And now the story has kind of unveiled and it's a lot more. So I want to start at the beginning. Take me back to when was the first time that you all became aware that there was an issue between your daughters and these boys?
Okay, so I think that starts with me. My daughter was dating someone in this group, and in October of 2023, broke up with him. And apparently that was not acceptable. You do not break up with these boys. So that's when we first noticed something was not normal. He was stalking her. He was sitting outside our house. He was leaving notes at the door. He was following her at school and standing and staring at her through the little windows in the classrooms, multiple classrooms, multiple times a day. Sometimes he would do this, just creepy. And then we got our house power boxed. And then this boy started threatening any friend of my daughter's to make her talk to him. So they would say, if you don't make her talk to him, then we're going to tell people you're a whore, or we're going to tell people this or that, things from your past that you don't want people to know, just to make them tell my daughter, you have to talk to him.
Okay.
And that went on for months.
So your daughter is 15?
She's 15 now. She was 14.
Okay. She was 14 at the time.
She was 14. She just turned 15.
And freshman?
Yes.
Okay.
At
Highland.
Yes.
Okay, so how long did she date this boy?
So in junior high, they dated. So she didn't even know there were a boyfriend-girlfriend situation until she tried to say, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. And then it was like, but we're going the distance and we're going to get married. And it was like, huh? She was oblivious to it.
Okay.
She didn't, they were actually technically dating, but they were, yeah, like you said, they seemed like just normal junior high boys. Nothing
Okay.
threw me off that they were
And
destructive.
did you know him? Did you know this boy?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we'd have him
Okay.
at our house, all these boys.
So when that happened, how did you address it as a parent? And how did your daughter address those behaviors?
So we just supported her, obviously saying, this is not normal. You don't, when you break up with someone, you just walk away. You move on with your life. This is not what boys normally do. They don't try and make you stay. And she's pretty strong about things. She was really good. It was when her friends started getting tormented that she started feeling bad, like it's her fault. And that's when we sort of snapped too, because it's like, we knew we had our situation kind of on lockdown. We put cameras everywhere outside of our house, the whole circumference, and that they never did anything to our damage wise, again, to our home. They went to all her friends' houses.
What was the damage that they did cause to your
So
home?
for us, the only thing they ever did was power box us
Got it.
through one of those mortars in our over the back wall, because we have no houses behind us, but it went into our pool. So nothing got like damaged.
When
But
was a mortar thrown at your house? When was that?
I was probably in November.
Okay. And can you explain what power boxing is?
Power boxing is where they go to the side of your house where your electric boxes are, and they'll just shut everything off. So
This is a theme. The power boxing is a theme.
Yeah.
The mortars are a theme. When this mortar was shot at your house, did you contact police?
no, we didn't, because
Okay.
my daughter was like, oh, it's not that big a deal. It just went in the pool. We're fine. It didn't
Sure.
hurt anybody.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, I mean, it sounds like a gun's gone off. This is not a normal firecracker, for starters. So I thought someone had shot a gun. So that's why I went outside, and my daughter's like, just calm down. It's fine. They're just being stupid, whatever. So I kind of that didn't connect with me yet, what that was even. So we didn't like call the police, but we did go to the school, because we thought the harassment at school where he was standing staring at her in her classes, we thought that has to stop. I mean, she's in her class, to the point where even classmates in the classes would say, don't look, but he's standing there again staring at you. It was very, very, like, I honestly said to my husband, sometimes I think he's like, he could kidnap her and kill her. It's that creepy, the vibe I'm getting. Like, this is just bizarre. And so I told her, spread this so that he hears it, that if he doesn't leave you alone, I'm going to put a restraining order on him. And then after that, he backed off. And it was, maybe 2 or 3 times a week he was looking at her versus every day, multiple times a day.
All right. And did you contact the school ever?
We did. So we went, and my husband talked to the assistant principal, and she said, tell your daughter she has a safe space with me, that she can come anytime and, sit with me or whatever. And that's not what we were looking for, because she was standing up to him herself. But we just said, we just need you to watch him. We need people to keep him in his class. That's it. That's all we're asking. And nothing ever really happened from the school. I think my daughter just took care of it with her friends. And I kept telling all the friends, you have to block them on every site possible, and don't look back. Don't unblock them. Just move forward and they'll leave you alone. But I didn't know this now, but obviously there's been so much manipulation and fear in these poor girls. They pinned them against each other, quite frankly, to not talk to each other even about what they were saying and doing that we were unaware of. And that's why some of them were too scared to even really keep them blocked. And my daughter did, and I think that's what ticked them off even more, is like they weren't breaking her.
Okay. And then LeeAnn, they kind of came after your daughter next.
Yes. And Stephanie's daughter was at my house that night, and some other friends. And what that night was particularly, I don't know, annoying to the boys was we had boys from Mesa in our home. So they were threatening and messaging to some of the people that were there that hadn't blocked them, that they were threatening the boys, not just them, but the boys that were in the house as well. So that started like the circling with all of them constantly going down the neighborhood streets and circling our house. And it started with one power box. And then when the power was out, they happened to be watching a movie. The power went out. They were getting threats from one of the girls' phones. And so that's when my daughter called me and was like, hurry home, they're outside. When we pulled up, they were scattering. So I saw like a few of them, like we made eye contact as they're racing away from the house. And I thought it would be an easy opportunity to just have a conversation. Like, what are you doing? Stay away, but they just raced away. And so when we were in the house, they power boxed again when we were in the house. So that's when my husband got on the phone with the non-emergency line and just said, like, these kids are circling. They've powered down the house a couple times. And so that's when it got dark. And then I was standing outside and just kind of like thinking I would deter them from power boxing the house again.
It's a reasonable assumption.
Yeah. Yes.
That if a parent is sitting outside staring you down, you're going to check your behavior. Reasonable assumption.
Yes. Thank you. I thought so. The first one that's not on video is when they raced by and they were like cussing, saying the most horrible names at me alone, because I was the only one outside at first. And I could not believe my ears, like the stuff that they were saying, each one of them, as they were just racing away. And so I was like, okay, this is enough. And so when my daughter came out and then my husband came out, and I got on the phone with 911 because I'm like, they're not going away. This is getting crazy. So that's
what types of things were they saying?
I can't literally, I was a high school teacher, so I thought I'd heard it all. But like disgusting things. Mostly like whore, bitch, like effing, whatever, like, but it was mostly like negative, like female, like
sexual harassment.
Yes. So
wow.
Yeah. Like I don't think they would have said that to a man, but maybe they would have actually. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, rough stuff. So,
and the threats that they were sending via text, was it text or Snapchat or
all of the above?
I think it was all. Yeah. Because
so multiple messages.
Yeah. And to the boys too. Like the boys, they were really threatening. And then the girls, it was insults.
The
It
boys,
was mostly insults.
Yeah,
to
the
girls.
boys, they were saying, we're going to come to Mesa and fight you. We're bringing our knives and our brass knuckles.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
And then they followed our girls when they went to a party in Mesa to go fight these boys. So they rode their electric bikes from Gilbert all the way to Mesa, show up at this party, and the boys there were like yelling their names, like, where are you? Come fight me. Like, come on. And somebody from Mesa had a gun apparently and yelled one of the boys' names, and they all took off and came back to Gilbert. They were scared. So it came to that point, and that's when I said the thing about, I'm going to put a restraining order on him, because I said, now you're involving all these poor innocent people from Mesa that are just nice boys that have done nothing to deserve this chaos. And one of the boys reached out to me immediately that I threatened the restraining order on, sent me a nice text, saying, oh, I just got carried away, and admitted to all these things with the boys. And I said, what you're doing is not appropriate. And if you don't stop, you will have, it's going to be worse, someone really could get hurt or killed because and I said, this is all to do with your obsession with my daughter. So stop. And he told me he was, I said, leave the chat group with the boys, stop doing that, like all of it. I listed every single thing. And like, he was like, thank you so much. Yes, I will do. I mean, it's just comical what he said back, but just manipulative, and said he was going to stop. And then it was 3 days later that he said he was going to stop, that they went and did that to LeeAnn's house.
And I'll just jump in real quick. That boy was present at my attack.
Mm-hmm.
Your daughter's ex-boyfriend, but really just ex-stalker, obsessive,
Totally.
crush gone cray-cray.
Yeah.
Okay, did anyone call the police when this whole party thing happened and they're riding their bikes up to Mesa to fight people? Nobody called police. Okay.
No. We just heard that the next day.
Yeah, we didn't hear about it till after.
Okay. All right. And how, with your daughter, LeeAnn, I don't think we finished your story. Where we left off They
Okay.
were circling you, calling you lots of
Yes.
female-based derogatory terms.
Yes. And then my daughter came out because they were circling back again, and I could see them kind of like, arranging themselves at the end of the street, like they were all kind of collecting. And then they were screaming something. And in the video, you can hear them screaming, but I can't really understand what they're saying. And then they just almost like go, like it's like they start going down the street. Now, in my particular house and experience, there was a truck.
Yeah,
So there had to have been 16-year-old in
right.
that.
Do we
Yeah,
know who the truck belonged to?
I don't. I
And
don't.
the kids do.
The kids
They said it
do.
was some
And
people from Gilbert High
the
that were
kids,
friends with
Question about the truck. Like,
yeah.
do you remember seeing a video of a truck chasing children around? Is that the same truck? Because it kind of looks
It's
like
an old style
I
truck. It's like an old
wonder.
Ford style, I think.
Yeah,
truck,
I don't
right?
know, but I wonder because
I'm sure it would be.
I kept looking for that truck. I saw it a few times after that, and there was also a white Escalade at that night earlier.
at your house.
No, at my house that night, the same night, there was true drivers, and I was like, who are these older kids hanging out with these young boys? So there was definitely two drivers, and the kid that threw the mortar at my house was in the back of that truck.
Okay.
So it definitely came from the back of that truck.
Okay.
I know they did that a lot though. Now I'm hearing stories of for sure where they would drive around throwing it at anybody riding their bikes,
Yeah.
kids. It didn't matter what age anyone was.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea where they were getting these mortars?
I don't think we can talk about that right now.
Oh, okay.
Was it from a classmate? Like, you can be generic. You
It's
don't have
one
to
of
just
them.
be a human.
It's within the group.
It's within the group.
Okay, somebody's making them
Um,
and
They
getting
can
them
find them.
somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, someone's providing it to them or they're getting them, they can't get them themselves
Right.
without the financial support of their parents or
Right.
someone. So it's,
Right. So some adult is buying these and the kids are modifying them.
Hmm.
It seems they have a steady stream of them.
Yeah.
They seem to have a steady stream of them. I don't even know where you get these.
I don't
We
know.
don't either.
New
Are they
Mexico
New Mexico? They're legal in New Mexico
or Mexico.
or Mexico.
Mhm.
Probably.
Okay, so you're on the phone with 911
Oh, yes.
and get a mortar thrown at your house.
And what'd you say?
Who's
up?
outside at that point?
Yeah. It was me, my daughter, her friend, one of her girlfriends, and then my husband was just walking out when it happened.
Had your
And
daughter been harassed prior to this incident?
yes. And she knew what the mortar was too, which was surprising to me because when it came out of the back of the truck, it has like initial little like spark to it. And I assumed that was it. But she was very aware that no, the blast is like coming in a
She was
couple
yelling
seconds.
for you to back up.
Yes. So I was moving towards it and didn't realize how powerful it was. So she had witnessed those exact explosives before with those kids.
How long had these boys been harassing her and why? And what was that like?
It's interesting because in junior high, there's like when they had like different pockets of them, it was like so much more manageable. Like if there was like 3 or 4 of them, and if they were at your house or in your backyard or swimming with your kids, it was like, oh, okay, these are nice kids. It seemed to be manageable. Something shifted, like I think at the end of 8th grade, where they went in like a pack. So there were always like 12, 15, 18 of them. It was like, and then when they were with that big of a group, their personalities changed. They were just out of control. And so you could tell that they just weren't like reasonable. So, so I hope that answers your question. I don't know.
Well, when did they begin harassing your daughter?
Oh, wait, no, I didn't answer the question. Okay. I think their behavior got more and more, it went from like teasing, like kind of teasing the girls and somewhat innocently to really mean, like spraying people in the face with like window cleaner. They spray painted the back of my, on my stucco on my house. And I don't know which one did that. Then they were throwing water balloons at their friends, and it was like friendly until it was like not friendly. There was bleach involved in one of the like water balloon throwing, and I think that it went. I didn't realize that it had escalated like that. So they would like put a girl in a headlock and hold them there. And so I didn't witness any of that until my daughter kind of explained things after when she wanted to hang out with these Mesa boys all the time. I was kind of like, why are we driving 20 minutes to drop you off somewhere else? We have tons of kids in our neighborhood. And her answer was, the kids in our neighborhood are mean. Like, I'm done with them. And so that's when it was like, whoa, what is going on? So I don't know how long they've been harassing them. I think that they were always kind of like at a teasing level. And then it got to like more of a physical, and the insults, I would say, escalated to where they are not afraid to insult, especially girls. But but at that point, when our house got mortared, that was kind of like the end of it. Like, those kids are not allowed at my house anymore. I'm done with them. So that's when it kind of ended mostly for my daughter.
And you made a police report.
Yes.
The assistant police chief has come out and said that the reason that they did not move forward is because you didn't want to press charges or did not cooperate.
Yeah, I am confused by that because I've been thinking about this all morning, because I don't know if it was me that dropped the ball, if I wasn't understanding like what the process was. But I thought that when they came that night, they witnessed like my yard or the lawn was still smoking. Like, so the police officer was like, whoa, like this is new. And so my experience was, okay, if the cops are here, we're doing a police report. I have a police report number. He and then he saw the video on that night of, and then afterwards, like, I was hoping he could round them up like that night. So
Did you tell the police who was involved?
Yes, yes,
Like their
and
names?
yes, yes. I don't know if he was really like writing it all down, or if he was but we did say like, okay, they're pocketed like on this street corner right now, because some of them could still see their location. So
Oh my gosh. So
so
you've got kids looking at their Snapchat
yes,
location like, these are the children and here
they're
are.
like a quarter of a block away. And so we were like this and that, and then literally while we're talking to the police officer, the truck goes by. And I'm like, that's them right there. So they
That's
like
where the
slowed
mortar came
down
from.
and then kept going. And so the police officer texted me later that night and just said we weren't able to locate them.
And
So
that was it? That
that was
was
it.
it?
And then I got another text, like I thought it was like an automated text saying like, this is your police report. And then it was like, if you have any questions, like call this number. So I don't know. I should have been more vigilant, but at the time, I actually just thought that I was the only one. And so I thought, okay, well, now I'll just maybe talk to a couple parents, see what I can do myself. And then I got a text, I think a few days later, that just said, we're closing your case. There was insufficient evidence. So, and I forgot one of the things, because the power box, um, we showed the police officer the video, and he was saying, you know what, you need a camera above the power box, because then we can at least see the guy's face as he's turning off the power. And I was like, okay, that's a great idea. And then when he was looking at the video, he's like, it's really unfortunate we can't really identify the faces. Like, we can't really see which kid is which. So I thought, when I got the text saying insufficient evidence, I thought, okay, well, I guess that was not good enough, like footage, so they couldn't locate the kids.
Which my thoughts to that are, what on earth did the police do back in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, when there weren't cameras to give you all your evidence? You went out and talked to people. You listened to the people are telling you their names. Like, you actually do so. Like, I'm just like shocked by not enough evidence. Like every one of those girls can say who it is. You could have them put on a hoodie and walk by their body language. You could say,
Yes, definitely.
I
Totally.
mean, easy as pie.
Yeah.
Right. They are known and identifiable.
Yes.
It's just absurd.
Yeah.
So then you talked to the parents, and how did the parents respond?
Well, there's two parents that I contacted, and I just went and rang the doorbell of one of them and talked to her. And I really thought that me being a parent, if my kid was out making trouble, if a parent came to me and said, "Your kid was here this night, this is what they did," oh, I would have taken care of business in my own home.
Oh.
So I thought, let's just do this. So I thought that that would be the best situation. So when I talked to her, I mean, she's super sweet. I feel like her kid just doesn't tell her the truth. And she was kind of defending him a bit. And then I do think that the video helped bring awareness to it because it's emotional. Like she was like, "Oh, wait a second, this is not just like a little prank." And so I didn't talk to her again. I just kind of talked to her the very next day, and then one of the other parents I talked to and just tried to explain the situation. She also was like sort of defending the kids. And it is kind of shocking to me how charming these boys are because they were like, I mean, this one parent was like, "Oh no, not like so and so. He's an angel." I was like, "Oh my gosh," almost pulling out my hair. Like, I don't think you have a clue. So that's it, all I could do. And the only other thing I did was contact one of the other parents that got murdered in like the same few days, and we were
There's
able
one-
to converse a bit.
So that was one of the things I wanted to ask. So Stephanie, you got I don't know if I can say the word, but you got your explosion at you in November. You also, LeeAnn, had your explosion thrown at your house in November. Were there explosions thrown after that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Before the barn?
Yes.
Yes.
How many that you know of?
Oh, you got phone? Oh,
Oh,
this.
down, yeah. The other one. Sorry, flew away. So we know another one in November, which you saw the video. That's the long 1 minute video. That was also November. We believe they're responsible for actually causing a lot of damage in a home in 2022. And then another home they attempted, but the dad and brother were able to stop them from throwing this firework. They did throw eggs, which is a crime. And then there
Was
was
this also in November of 2023?
I'm more
You don't know.
yeah.
Okay.
There was another one thrown at a home in Agritopia. And then the same home had where they I'd never heard of this. It's cricket bombing, where they take hundreds of crickets and find an opening in their home, like an unlocked window or unlocked door, and they throw all these crickets in there.
It's like the ones from PetSmart you can buy for like lizard food, and
Yeah.
so they bought like the 100 crickets, and it's like a cricket bomb.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So the oh, sorry, there's more?
Oh yeah. And then there's at least 2 mailboxes that we know that were blown up. And then one of the boys that had one of the victims, they had their mailbox blown up. And this incident involves the group that we're dealing with, but also includes some Gilbert High students.
Mm-hmm.
And they are pointing at his house and calling him a snitch when
Mm-hmm.
they blow up the box. And then they later return as a group and assault this kid on
Okay.
video. They were able
on video.
they were able to identify, and there is a news just a little news article. The police so charges were pressed. One juvenile spent time in juvenile detention. So but that's the thing, they threaten to beat up if you're considered a snitch on the boys. So the girls, they're sexually harassing them, intimidating, retaliating on their homes. The boys, if they think they're a snitch, they're gonna beat you up. So we have, some people that want to remain anonymous, but we have like 15 separate incidences.
And all of these incidences, the children have some relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some conflict or some issue between the aggressors and the victims. 15 incidents.
Before mine. Well, mine's the 15th, the most.
Okay. All right.
But
So
actually, with mine, there could be considered more because the boys that were not present at our attack, they were out of town, but they have threatened to beat up the kids that were at the victims at my attack.
all right. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is I made a comment regarding why 15 children are out at 1 a.m. and their parents don't know. And one or more of you told me that you know for a fact that these children don't have curfews.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
How do you know that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's my daughter. Yeah, I think my daughter and her friends are like, they don't have a curfew. There's been many times where we've had to 8th grade, 7th grade. It's like, it's time to go home. And literally, when are your parents coming? You need to leave and we're going to lock up.
Actually, now that you say that, I remember some of them being at our house. This was still junior high, so 8th grade. And my husband went out, in the night. It was maybe 2 a.m. and there was boys asleep on our trampoline.
Oh.
They would just sleep here because no one came to get them or take them home. And I didn't even know there other. And my daughter didn't say that because she knew I would be like, I'll drive them home for starters if they just need a ride. But she says they do this all the time. They just crash people's
live in the neighborhood. Can't they take their motorcycles and go home?
I think maybe they're all lying to their parents and saying they're sleeping at someone's house.
Yeah.
And then they actually have nowhere to go when it comes down to 3 a.m.
Right.
I think some of them are probably sneaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Probably all the above.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so Gilbert PD recently, I think yesterday, put out a public service announcement on their Facebook page clarifying what is a legal bike and what is an illegal bike.
Okay.
Which was helpful because many people have been asking for quite some time, what is going on? Why are there gangs of children on motorcycles on the street? And should you be interested, if there's pedals and it's an e-bike and it goes up to 28 miles an hour or something, it is legal. If it doesn't have pedals and it's a Saran, it's illegal. You have to have a helmet. You have to have a license. You have to be 16. So all of these minors have all of these illegal vehicles.
They do, because almost every single one of them has a Saran.
Yep. Yeah, they're Sarans, and they post TikToks of them riding
on the streets.
And they are
everywhere.
Fast. They are fast.
We know they've run from police back when the junior high, they would all mob at the McDonald's across the street. And when the cops would come, they would all just take off. I mean, and they
all different directions.
Yeah, they can all go down the ravines and everything and get away from cops every single time. But some of the cops started driving down in those ravines in their cars, trying to stay after them, but they just can't keep up.
Well, and I was thinking about this, and I was like, I had heard as a mom, the kids spread it that I remember hearing there's, the bikes in Morrison Ranch, but the way it was fun to me was that the HOA guy in Morrison Ranch, for the president of the HOA, that he's just some grumpy old man who doesn't want the kids to be able to ride their bikes, and They're not doing anything wrong. They're just trying to ride to their friends' houses, and he's just trying to be a jerk and ban them, and he's with the kids. So they're gonna get picked up if they're riding their bikes. So I don't know if it was the kids charming their parents to spread these, and then the parents are saying that's what I heard as a parent. And so I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Like this guy's like going after the kids. And I didn't know, like, I didn't hear that they were throwing these. And I have since, like, people have sent me like articles or posts from Morrison Ranch showing damage done. Like these mortars are being thrown at innocent people trick or treating, like at homes, at mailboxes. Like they're running through the neighborhoods. It's not just Morrison Ranch, it's the Circle G neighborhood, it's our neighborhood, it's Record Point, it's Higley Groves. It's within you can almost pin it from Warner north to Guadalupe, from Wrecker east to Greenfield.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Or west, I'm sorry. Wrecker west to Greenfield.
This is Billie Tarascio, owner of Win Without Law School and Modern Law. Win Without Law School is a program that operates nationally and helps people who are representing themselves or who just need more help. If you are in a family court case and you're feeling confused, you need direction, you need help figuring out questions to procedural or strategic issues, Win Without Law School can help. At Win Without Law School, you've got two experienced attorneys, me and my partner, Julie LeBenz, who can guide you through the court process and help you troubleshoot your case. You've got access to courses, planners, checklists, and live Q&A. Our live Q&A is where you can get help from us and your community. We also have a closed Facebook group just for members where you all can share your experience, share your pleadings, get advice, and mentorship. Join us today at winwithoutlawschool.com. That's winwithoutlawschool.com. Jenny, can you explain what was going on between your daughter and these boys and what has happened?
Yeah, these boys actually used to be really good friends of my daughter. Like she had considered them best friends. And when we had first met these boys kind of like last summer, night and day difference, right? They were like good friends to her, and I dropped them off, like giving them rides home from school. We've taken them out on our boat. We've had them over, fed them, all kinds of things. Like, and then kind of like around Christmas, after Christmas, one of the kids who, so there's different. I'll get to why they were mad or upset with my daughter at that point. But previously, just to give you an idea of how these boys are with the girls, one of the boys had, like, my daughter liked him, and he told her he liked her, kind of, they kind of love bomb these girls. And so she's like happy because he likes her. And then he turns around telling all his friends, no, I don't like her. I don't like her. And then his friends are like, oh, he's just playing you. He doesn't really like you. So then it's like, she's upset. She blocks him on, social media. And then I'm looking through her phone and back. And at that time, he sent her this Instagram reel. And it says at the top, me when my girl blocks me. And it's this guy like singing this love song trying to get this girl back. I'm like, this is what they're doing. And it's like almost like psychological warfare for these teen girls who are just, so sensitive to these emotional games. And, and then they like will pit each other, the girls against each other. Like, they'll say they like multiple girls, and then one girl will find out and be like, well, that's not right. I'm going to let her know, like, he's also pursuing me. And then that's when the retaliation from the boys start. So then fast forward to our incidents, about a month prior, one of the boys had gotten on to my daughter and was like calling her a snitch and just like not being nice. So I was like, block him. He is a jerk. Like, we want nothing to do with him. Make sure he knows he's not allowed at our home. I don't want him here. So she did. She blocked him, but he's still, getting things to her through other people. And then the other kid, he started like kind of harassing, saying things like enough cause to like, I can't really I don't want to say yet what he said prior to our attack, but he was upset because my daughter had been talking to another boy, one of his friends, and other people told this boy that my daughter was also talking to other boys on Snap. So that boy was upset, and I was like, whatever, just don't be friends with him. But then that's when the group of friends started getting onto my daughter. So I did reach out to the mom because I had met her, and she was very nice. And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I know what you guys have a lot on your plate right now. I wasn't going to bring this up, but can you just get his friends to back off? And so I forgot to tell her that my daughter didn't know I was doing that. I didn't tell my daughter I was doing that. But I was like so sick of this behavior that I'm like, it needs to stop. Like, I'm going to speak up. Obviously, you can tell. I'm not going to I'll be quiet for a certain point and then I won't. And so 2 days later, she responds back and says, I'm sorry. My son's talked to his friends. He's going to issue an apology. I hope it gets better or whatever. And that day is when the other kid who threw the explosive, that's when he started in on my daughter and just saying not appropriate things and almost threatening in a way. And then, that was Friday before they came over on Wednesday. So these boys had been blocking my daughter. I mean, even in the ring video, I removed the sound that I posted, but in the video, they see, oh, so-and-so's here. Oh yeah, it's showing on mine too. And they all stand up.
Say this?
Yes, you can hear his name on the video. And so they stand up and my daughter stands up and she's like, I don't want to see him. And then that's when you see the barn just like light up with this bright flash and you hear a boom. And so they run outside and there's just smoke everywhere, they said.
So there were 10 children inside your barn when how many other children came over and were part of the firework throwing?
I have it written down. Sorry, in the notebook. Yeah. I did funny as speaking with the detectives, they asked me if I wanted a job.
Because of all her
Yeah,
research.
because of all-
We could really use moms in the police department.
Right? Yes.
I think it'd be a really good idea.
Yeah.
So
there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boys at our attack. So we know exactly who was there.
Okay.
And some boys we can link them to the other crimes.
So I want to take a step back and get your opinions on what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things I'm hearing sounds like every other domestic violence situation that I've ever heard, where things start off fine and then they're really gray and you don't know if it's okay or not. Like something doesn't feel okay, but like it's probably fine because we have this prior relationship. And then it just escalates worse and worse and worse. And it has taken, what could have been a bigger catastrophe than it was. Like these 10 children could have died. Thankfully, they didn't. But only now are we talking about this behavior.
Yeah.
How did we get here?
Well, let me just add in too that we have also, like this morning, we found a screenshot of a text message from one of the boys. He was not at my attack, but he texted one of the girls and said, "Kill yourself, you whore." So that's, what they're dealing with. Honestly, the biggest issue is that these boys, the girls think that these boys are good looking. they're charming people. They're charming the adults. The adults aren't believing the behavior because there's been a few parents reaching out to these boys' parents and they're not doing anything. And they're saying, I I mean, I shouldn't even get started right now because I started this with a lot of grace for the two boys that are getting charged with for their parents, for their families. But the things I've learned since, it's not going to get swept under the rug. Like they're not going to be able to get out of this. And their boys have had this behavior for some time, and they've had an opportunity. Some of these parents have had an opportunity to correct this behavior, and they're not. And it's gotten big enough to where the police need to get involved, and there need to be real consequences and changes because it's not going to change. They think they're at the point now where they feel untouchable.
They have been untouchable.
Yes, they have been.
They know we've called the police. They know we've shown up and talked to their parents. And no, nothing's. I've gone to the school. I mean, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
So the parents are aware, and they're either turning a blind eye, or they're sticking their head in the sand, or they're believing their sons.
And part of me wonders, do these kids not have enough attention? Because all of these incidents are like drawing attention, Yeah. And so I'm like, it's kind of bizarre to think about like doing something criminal is getting attention, but it is like they take the video of it, they circulate it among each other.
They're videoing all these attacks.
Bump each other up, like that's so cool, you're so awesome. You know what I mean? And so I wonder, like, do they not? I don't know. Most of these kids, though, I would say are pretty like wealthy, well-to-do families. So they have their needs met.
I don't,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not like they don't have their needs met. I feel like maybe they're bored and they're
I think
they're
given too much freedom.
Too much freedom.
Well, you know how toddlers search for boundaries and need them? It feels like maybe these boys, it's an adolescent's job to take risks and push the limit. Like it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't expect perfect behavior, but there have to be boundaries and consequences from adults.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been, not from the school, not from the parents, not from the police. And what's so bad is that when you don't do that for your kids, they don't have a frontal lobe. You have to do it for them. And now they're facing, now they really could have hurt people. They really did damage, and they may go to jail for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because this is, they have a track record now. I mean,
right.
Yeah, it's not the first time. It's just the first time something major happened.
Right. It's the first time they caused massive damage, but I bet your daughters would disagree, because I bet going through your freshman year, being verbally accosted by your classmates can't be good.
No.
They've had food thrown at them during lunch. Every time they walk by, they're called whores or some derogative. Even some of the girls joined the track team, and just doing the normal track warm-ups, if they'd run by, the boys would be like, "You're a whore, close your legs." Horrible stuff, to the point where they went to the track coach. I was so proud of him and told him immediately. He had everybody come out, and in a group setting sort of throughout, we don't harass other people on this team. This is not what we do. But some of the boys obviously would show up for a hot minute and then leave. So they weren't really serious about being in track. It was just to harass people. It's just crazy. And we went with the same boy's mom that LeeAnn had gone to. And my husband was talking to her, and she said, "Can I please have him come out so that you can talk to him? Because it's not getting through from her, clearly." I mean, and my husband basically said, "This is the one and only time you will see me on your doorstep. Get a hobby, get a sport, figure out something else, but leave our daughter and her friends alone, or you're going to ruin your life." And
so the next obvious question is, are these boys from broken homes? Are their parents divorced?
No, not this one. Just
I don't know. A few of them might be with single moms. Actually, I know one boy within the group is in a single parent home.
The mom that asked your husband to talk to her son, is she a single mom?
No. She's married.
And that was the
So dad wasn't going to talk to your child?
No.
2 or 3, a few of them are from broken homes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And then the other question that comes up frequently that you addressed the other day, Jenny, is there an LDS connection? And I hate the question.
I hate that
hate
question.
it.
I
But it
really
comes up again and again and again.
No, I really hate that question because I'm like, it makes others look bad in it within that church. And there are some boys that are LDS.
Mhm.
There are some boys that are LDS. There are some boys that go to a different Christian church. There's some boys I don't know whether they go to church or not. So there's, and also they're not all white. They're not all from rich, affluent families.
So-
It's such a big group and range of kids that you can't say, oh, it's only affluent LDS kids. It's not.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
and
not.
you mentioned that you're an LDS member.
Yeah.
So it's not even like those girls would be off limits.
Yeah, no, in fact, like, we're very open. Like most of my kids' friends and who they like and associate with, a lot of them are not even members of our church. And we're like, it doesn't, there's a lot of good people in the world. And so we're not exclusive to be like, oh, you can only hang out with LDS kids. Cause I'm like, look, I know kids are bad. Like you can be anywhere and go to any church and have bad people.
Yeah.
totally.
I'm clearly we're seeing that here, but
What
yeah,
role do you think social media and smartphones has on the situation?
Oh.
huge,
Huge.
Snapchat, huge.
Snapchat.
Like the fact that those boys saw on Snapchat that who was at our house. I think I believe that some of the boys that were in that group that night, I believe that they didn't know what was happening that night. And they thought they were just coming over to my daughter's house because other boys were there that they knew and hadn't seen in a while. I don't think all 8 of them had this malicious intent. I do believe at least 4 of them had a malicious intent. And those 4 are part of the larger group of boys that are, we don't snitch on our friends type and that have been harassing. So you have this core group of probably close to 12 boys. And then you have like kind of outlier boys that are friends with them who I believe kind of stay friends and friendly so that they are not targeted.
Well, right. You
Right.
can't violate the rules of the clique or there will be consequences.
Yeah, you can't even break up with these boys.
Yeah,
They can use
exactly.
you as much as they want, but the minute you say like, I don't want to, you block them, they're so personally offended that they're just going to torment your life
Mhm.
and try and destroy you.
But
So
what's interesting about the Snapchat is there's been so many threats to these girls and other boys, but because of the Snapchat like nature where it disappears, they can't retrieve a lot of those
Mhm.
threats.
Well, I was told actually by the police. I was told by a cop that it actually is stored in Snapchat.
like Snapchat doesn't get rid of it.
No,
You make it.
Snapchat.
Right.
Like,
You can
he-
subpoena Snapchat if you get a warrant,
Yeah.
but it's not like your girls can go back and capture it.
Right.
Yeah,
But
and
I think Snapchat's a big deal. with these
Snapchat
kids.
is huge, and that's how they all communicate. Like 90% of their communication is on Snapchat, and if they don't have Snapchat, they're left out of a lot of
Mhm.
things.
This is a real issue. Everybody knows how harmful social media is, but it's a collective problem.
Yeah,
If you can't take your child off while everybody else is on.
Yeah.
So we collectively as a culture are like trapped.
Right.
yeah, we do.
Totally.
That's exactly how
So
I feel.
limiting.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. There's research that supports this as a real problem, and it especially happened when Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, about 2010 to 2015. Now I have 2 older kids, and let them use cell phones the same way everybody does. But I've got some younger kids that are 11 and 9 who haven't started yet, and I'm desperately hoping that parents can collectively learn and make different choices.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
even think a lot of it is we as parents, it's just we didn't even grow up with these
Yeah.
phones. So it's like it's a whole language I don't even understand. So it's like you think you're taking this away or you're blocking this or you have this app that shuts this down, but they know how to go. I mean, they're like little masters. They know and they all or they go get a burner phone. If you think you have your kid on lockdown because you have your devices downstairs, your
Right.
kid's secret
Yeah.
phone somewhere is you're
Mhm.
no one's got their kid on lockdown.
Mm-mm.
So it's just like
Right.
I've known families that their kids, they don't know their kids have use
totally
burner phones.
same.
And
Wait
100.
a
they think,
second. Are there burner smartphones? I don't even know about this.
apparent, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I've just heard, oh, that boy has 24 other phones. So the parents think they have the phone
Yeah.
and they've got a million other that they're doing illegal stuff.
And then they all have, their one account that their parents see, and then they
Mhm.
also have their spam accounts or different accounts that their parents don't know about.
And that's where the real communicating, because
Yes.
most of these kids, you'll see there's 0 posts,
Mm-hmm.
but they're having full lives
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on behind that
That's so
thing.
true.
Yeah.
It feels like it's so out of control.
Oh, I know. I know. Well, and I will say too, for anybody that has been a victim so if you live in the area and you have a high school student that's going to be a freshman or a sophomore or junior, your kids know. Like everybody knows who these boys are. They are known
Yeah.
at school to be this way. And so what the detective had asked me, he said, "Hey, can you help us get the word out that if you are being harassed and threatened or anything, to file an injunction, and you can do that at the Superior Court in Mesa." And he just said that really helps them out, and then we can take it to the school and say, "Hey, we have an injunction," which then, from my understanding, means they cannot attend that school.
Not necessarily, but let's talk about it. So
Okay.
you can get an injunction against harassment against another person. And essentially, that is the same thing as an order of protection, but you have a different relationship status. So, in order
Yeah.
to get an order of protection, you got to be in some sort of familiar or romantic relationship. But if you're not, let's say your friend is harassing you, if it meets the level of harassment, so you're getting lots of texts after you've asked not to, or Snapchats or whatever, or they're standing outside your you know, uh, classroom looking at you, you can go to any court. It can be the Superior Court, the municipal court, the city court, every single court. There's no filing fee. You can walk in, do your own petition. You have to be specific. You have to say the days that this happened, the times that this happened, exactly what
Well,
happened.
the detectives actually told me you don't have to have specifics.
There's a spot on it, even you can say this is a guesstimate of the dates.
Yeah.
Sure.
The detective told us to do that we don't have to have a specifics, but you do have to go to the Superior Court because of them being minors. So you cannot do that at the municipal court in Gilbert because of their age.
Oh, gosh. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. And then the terms of the injunction can be modified. It can be specific. So if your kids go to the same school, it could be something like you have to be 500 feet away or 100 feet away or whatever. And then the beauty of having this is if it's violated, it's a crime. So if it's hard for cops to show, evidence of a crime, but now what you've done is you've said it's a crime for you to do any of these things. You get a picture of them next to you and it's a crime. And
Mm-hmm. And then, sorry, to add on, he said that if you file an injunction for, like, say, boy A, and then boy B starts harassing you because you did it, now you have an immediate one against boy B because that's not allowed either.
And also, you cannot use third parties to harass. So
Yeah,
let's
that's
say you
right.
get it against boy A, and boy A goes to boy B. So you
Mhm.
can. And the nice thing about these injunctions is the consequences aren't going to be they go to jail for 1,000,000 years, but it is a boundary. It is a firm boundary with actual consequences. If you want the police to really take these things seriously, you have to also make a report, and a specific report. And so we talked about that the other day. Like, if you're getting threatening texts, that is against the law, but you may have to file a report under the specific statute for electronic communication and harassment to kind
Yeah.
of push them.
Yeah. So I
So-
think, there's power in numbers. And if we can get, all the victims to come forward, and we really need to disband them, because even if we leave 3 or 4, they're gonna try and retaliate.
And I think it's important for anyone that has been harassed to understand, like, yes, you're going to feel scared. I'm an adult and I've been scared. That's why I put cameras everywhere. I've been trying to like protect us, because saying stuff hasn't worked. Threatening to put a restraining order hasn't worked. They've just continued to just go and do it wherever else she is. So it's like, I was afraid, thinking it was just a weird one-off thing. Like, I've never seen kids. This is my youngest, and I've raised 4 other kids. I've never seen any teenager act like this in
Yeah, my
all the
youngest
years.
also.
I mean, it's just blowing my, I'm just like, I don't even know this world. Like, what's going on? So that's why it took me by surprise, and I kept doing things, and we kept her safe as we could. But it was just like, once it started going to the friends, that's when we snapped and we're like, okay, we're going to go talk to the parent now. Because if another parent talking isn't stopping it, then like, what is me saying something more going to do? And then when we went to, the school, we talked to the assistant principal, we talked to the policeman that was there. We thought they were handling other thing, and nothing's been done, like nothing. So you feel isolated. And until I saw her house get mortared, that's when I realized, okay, like they're doing this to more people than just us. It's not just like a one-off. And then it kept growing and growing, knowing, okay, there's other people, like you're not alone. But you definitely have to speak up for the kids that cannot speak right now, or they don't have parents that are able to speak for them. Like, that's why we're doing this. Yeah, we feel scared. I don't like being harassed. I've been being harassed for over a year, and it sucks. And you're always looking over your shoulder, or you hear a noise and you're like, oh no, they're back. Like, it sucks, but you're not alone. So stand up now so that we can get all this information, so that we can actually keep all the rest of the kids in the community safe. No one deserves this.
And also, too, I feel like, the parents of these boys, some of the boys, maybe of the 12, maybe there's 1 or 2 that aren't as seriously involved. They're still linked. I would say, if I was their parent personally, I would be going in and saying, what can I do to help? Because what's coming out, what the evidence is coming out, is that are some serious crimes. And I would not want my child connected. I would say, nope, come in. We'll give you whatever information you need, because I don't want charges pressed against my child.
You can't do that. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Do not go cooperate with the police thinking that somehow that means that you're not going to be prosecuted. You have to have a lawyer. You have to have immunity. Like, if we look even at the Preston Lord murder, 2 of those boys thought they were cooperating, and they are now being charged with first-degree murder.
What?
Yes. First-degree murder. William Owen Hines thought he was cooperating when he went in and talked to the police, and so did Taylor Sherman.
Wow.
So parents need to understand that risk. And I'm not saying you don't cooperate, but you should get immunity if you're going to be handing over this information.
Exactly. Well, and that's what I thought they would get.
Right. People think that.
Yeah, I would assume that they could request immunity if they're speak up. So they must, I guess, get a lawyer first. But
you have to negotiate that. There's no like goodwill here.
Okay. Well, and like, how can you still think these boys and this group of friends are still good boys, and this was an accident? It was maybe they weren't intending to do that much damage. Maybe, but what do you think's going to happen? You already know those cause damage. You know that that's what could happen. It's like telling a drunk driver, like, oh, I didn't know I would kill, like, I didn't mean to kill someone. I've already driven drunk 5 different times. I didn't know the 6th time I was going to kill someone. I didn't mean for that to happen. Like, you can mean it all day long, but you knew what could happen.
So at this point, have all 3 of you filed police reports?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you know if other parents have also filed police reports?
We believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 police reports that have been filed that could connect all these kids. At least some of them. Like, obviously not everyone has been at every attack, but I know that on the assault of one of the kids, one or two of the boys were at my home also that night. And we know, I think some of the boys that were at her house that threw it, they were also at my house.
Yep.
I want to thank you all so much for your time and your bravery and your willingness to come forward. Like, you're making a big difference. It stinks that it took this, but I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you know, if that's what I've said, if as long as no one got hurt, because seeing the text today, one of the boys telling the girls, "Kill yourself, you're a whore." Like, if I'm glad it was just things like, and it's really sad because I think like our wedding videos were up in the loft. Pictures from when I was a high school and a little girl, like so many things from my mom. And she's gone, like things we can't get back. Like that's what sucks. At the end of the day, it's not a life that was lost, and we're thankful for that, and we're thankful that a girl didn't lose a life, because the next thing is a girl losing her life, whether it was directly from one of the boys or indirectly because of things he said.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for listening to the Modern Divorce Podcast. Remember, anything you've heard today or anything you read online is not the replacement for actual consultation with an attorney and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Even if you called in and we spoke to you, you were anonymous and we don't have your details and you have not become a client of Modern Law. However, we would love to speak with you, or you should seek out the advice of legal counsel or counseling or any other expert near you. And if you have an idea for a show topic or you need to speak with an attorney in Arizona, you can reach me at info@mymodernlaw.com.